Welcome. Today I want to talk about something Christ said. He said, "Be ye perfect, even as your heavenly Father is perfect." That's very profound, very meaningful, and not at all hyperbole. You see, Adam was created perfect. God created Adam perfect. Adam could have lived forever, never tasted death. Human beings were meant to live forever, to be perpetually renewed, and to have an adventure, a great adventure in this beautiful universe that God created, ever in awe and wonder of the Creator. But something happened. Adam was disloyal. That's a way of putting it. You know, if you have some kind of an agreement with someone, and then they don't hold up their end, you could say that they broke faith. If someone makes an agreement, it's supposed to be in good faith. And so it's very simple. All Adam had to do was to do what God asked him to do. And God's command was very simple. He didn't say, do this and do that and do this and do that. That's what most people do, right? They're ever bossing you around. No. All he did was say, like St. Augustine said, love God and do what you want. It's basically what Augustine said. So all Adam had to do was just not do one thing. That was eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. That's the only thing Adam wasn't supposed to do when he was told not to do. Otherwise he could enjoy the great creation. But there was another will, another presence. It spoke to Eve, and Eve spoke to Adam. And then Adam blew it, didn't he? He doubted God, disobeyed God, did what he wasn't supposed to do. And then what happened? Well, God had told Adam that if he eats of that tree, he's going to die. And sure enough, that's what happened. And we're all born of the lineage of Adam and Eve. And that's what we all face. That's what we all are inherit, is that lineage, that destiny. But some of us yearn for something else. We yearn to find the Creator we've never known, and then to be with Him. He's our Heavenly Father. So in a sense, you could say that we're all fatherless. The whole world is fatherless. Because you have to find Him. And then keep that relationship with Him. So, to be perfect then is to not miss the mark. I made a radio program about that. You really should listen to it. It's just excellent. The ancient Israelitish people defined sin as missing the mark. Well, we don't have the luxury of missing the mark, because to the extent that we miss the mark, we're imperfect. And to the extent that we're imperfect, there's part of us that's not quite compatible, if you will, with our true destiny, which is to know God. So be perfect. Don't miss the mark. So how do we miss the mark? In a million different ways. Would you like some examples? Okay. Anything done emotionally, anything done excitedly, angrily, resentfully, ambitiously, you're missing the mark. Because you're using the wrong energy. And usually it's because there's some goal that someone held up for you. So you're pursuing some goal that someone else, some other will, held up for you. So there's two missing of the marks right there. We're supposed to always do what we know is right in our heart and wait for the wind of the Spirit to move us. See, we taste a little bit of this perfection. We don't quite have it when we're young, but we're close to it. See, you were born very close to it. When you were a little child, you moved spontaneously and freely. It was beautiful. But when you get older, then you don't move spontaneously anymore. Everything you do, you second guess. And you try to make an impression or try not to mess up. Always some goal to please someone. See? Or just not to mess up anymore. Or not to get angry. See? But when you're a little child, you just flow spontaneously. That's where we're supposed to live. Now, in a natural sense, there's a natural energy that flows. It doesn't require excitement or ambition or anger. But there's an even higher energy from God, which we are meant to find and then live from. And with it, you also move spontaneously, but this time with God's energy, His motivation. And then you just live beautifully, effortlessly. Okay? Missing the mark. How do we miss the mark? When we resent someone. That's right. When we judge someone. When you judge another person. In other words, you see, it's like I've always said, it's okay to see wrong, to see error. Although in your fallen state, in your judgmental state, you probably see error when there isn't any, or you see wrong when there isn't any. Like parents correct their kids when their kids haven't done anything wrong. You see what I mean? Kid spills a little milk, which all kids will spill a little milk, and the parent acts like it's something wrong. But the point is that when you judge another person, then you add a little pinch of resentment to it, and you puff up. You're using another person to build your ego. That's what it is. You judge them, you condemn them, you look down upon them, you hate them, so that you can feel puffed up, contemptuous, superior. See? So that's a misuse of another human being. And it builds pride, and pride, as you know. How can you, see, if you want to get to know God, then how can you be prideful? Because pride is playing God. So that's what you're doing when you judge another person. You're playing God. So you can't know God if you want to play God. You know God exists. That's actually a proof that God exists because we play Him. We judge other people. We condemn them. We want worship. See, God is entitled to worship. But when you want worship, admiration, when you want respect, then you hate people when they don't give it to you. And then you condemn them in your mind. See? You're playing God. God is king and judge. That's what you are. You're playing God. So there's missing the mark right there. See? Looking for answers in your thinking. See? Answers come from God. Through intuition. It's like a wordless language. You remember Star Trek? Remember Spock? He had some kind of a way of reading another person's thoughts or communicating with another person without words. Remember that? Well, that's the way it is. God communicates to us without words. You just know. See? You just know. It's just so simple. And then it becomes thinking. So first realization. And then the realization becomes thinking. Just like Einstein. He realized, he intuited with his intuition something. And then it became words and it became math. See? But first it was just pure realization. Well, that's where you're supposed to live. Pure. And it comes from God. But when you bypass that, then you look to your thinking for answers. And what do you get down there? Well, you either get just something that someone else said, so it's dead, it's lifeless. The timing is wrong. Or worse yet, the dark side is down there, always whispering to you. It approaches you through your mind, through thinking, through words, through images. So again, that's missing the mark. So how else do you miss the mark? Well, when men look to women for love. Men are supposed to be the source of love. A man is supposed to find his Creator within and have a bond with his Creator. Then he gives love, see? Or not really his love, but love from the Creator through him for others, you see? But men, instead, they look to the woman as their God. Look to her for love. See? Backwards. Miss the mark. So all you have to do is miss the mark a few, like I just mentioned, a few of those ways. And then you keep repeating the same error. So you miss the mark, you're not perfect. And then, see, you basically are not going to make it. So you want to make it. Well, then you have to refine your Creator first and foremost, because he will then show you how you're missing the mark, very gently from within. It's called intuition, also conscience. See, you remember when you were a little child and you had a conscience when you did something bad, you felt bad? Well, that's your conscience. It's from God. Refine it. And feel your conscience a little bit. Feel a little bit of sadness for what you've done, for hating other people and being phony and using people and trying to play God and messing everything and bungling and meddling and everything else you've done. Looking to others for love instead of having love for them, see? So on. Let your conscience rub your nose a little bit and all that, and then feel bad for a little while, and then after that's over, then you're forgiven, and then you're back in God's good graces again. And then go and sin no more. How do you do that? By being very close to your intuition. So then when you're doing something that's not perfect, or you're about to do something not perfect with the wrong energy, the wrong motivation, the wrong something rather, not quite the wrong timing, you'll see that your ego is involved somehow. You're trying to prove something, or make something happen. You see that. How do you see it? In God's inner light. So you just see it. And you just stand back and then, see, that changes everything. That realization, do you understand the word made flesh? That realization from heaven. Like a lightning flash through the mind. You realize, oh, I see. It's like the aha moment. See? I see. And that's all you have to do is just see. It changes everything. And so you begin to mess up less. You begin to miss the mark less. And less. And less. It's a long process. But what else is there to do? What's the alternative? To get worse and worse. See? Make more and more mistakes and try to cover them up and try to deny them and pretend and be guilty and try to make up for the guilt and make things worse. And so, there's two ways you can do it. The right way or the wrong way. Why not do it the right way? So I think you need the meditation that I have. I think you need it. Because otherwise you remain bogged down in thoughts and emotions and feelings and worries and doubts. And see, you have to become unbogged down in that. You have to somehow get clear of it, take a mental step back. And the meditation will help you to do that. That's what you need to see. That's why you need the meditation. You need to meditate. You see? Be perfect. Even as your heavenly Father is perfect, Christ said. Now do you understand it a little bit? So all I'm doing is waking you up to that. Paul said something very interesting. I wonder if I can find it. Let me see. Let me see if I can find what Paul said. It would be so nice if I could find it. Here it is. I think I found it. Paul, in Ephesians, his letter to the Ephesians, chapter 1, verse 18. He says, I pray that the eyes of your heart may be enlightened, so that you will know what is the hope of his calling, what are the riches of the glory of his inheritance in the saints. The eyes of your heart. The King James Bible, the King James Version rather, says, the eyes of your understanding. Same thing. The eyes of your understanding. But let's stay with the eyes of your heart. Do you understand that? Madame Guyon, very lovely lady, a mystic. And I also think Teresa of Avila or St. John of the Cross, or all three of them. I don't remember. But for sure, Madame Guyon said you must learn to pray with your heart, not with your mind. Pray with your heart. Do you understand that? Do you understand to simply see and simply know and to simply wonder? It's very similar to when you were a little child. See, we're very close to it. So you wonder about something, and then you see something, and then you do something based on that seeing. Or you see that there's nothing to do, but it comes from the heart, see? It comes from within, in God's light, through you, without running it through your intellect. But what do most of us do? Maybe you realize something. You see that you're being mean to your child. You're being impatient with your child. You're pressuring your child. You see it. But then what do? Well, you run it through your intellect. And then you think, well, what if this and what if that, and they do this and they got to study, and what if they don't get good grades, and what am I going to do, and I'll do this and I'll plan that, and this expert said do this, and this person on the radio said do that, and this author said this. Ruins it. Just see it. See it. And let that realization come down through your being. And it would change you. It changes the moment. Without your having to do anything. You're so used to meddling in everything and getting your ego involved. Just get your ego out of the way. And see with the eyes of your heart. See? How simple. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's little talk. You should get the meditation. If you hear what I say and you don't do it, see, if you hear what I say and say, well, that's interesting, and go away, never meditate, can you see the problem? Can you see, who was it who said faith without works is dead? See? So that means you didn't believe me. You didn't have faith. See? Faith is just seeing what you see and trusting what you see, and not doubting. So, if you can see what I'm saying, then you should also see that you need to meditate. It's that simple.